All right, let's start with this. This is, I'm getting hung up here because I'm obsessive about punctuation, is whether the apostrophe is correct there. We'll come to that. The fall guy for Reeves' budget lies. She's being described as a liar left, right and centre now, the Chancellor, fair or not. And this bloke is Richard Hughes. You've got to feel a bit sorry for him. What happened was this. He put the budget out 40 minutes early by accident. And the way it happened is insane. It turns out that they have it hanging there, ready to release the link. But the link, the URL as it's called, was guessable. So it was something like Budget 2025. So people start diddling around and they find it. Can you believe that?
It's extraordinary.
It really is.
You would think with all of this focus on cybersecurity that putting something up which is confidential but guessable, like having your password as your surname 123, you're told not to do that.
Yeah. I tell you, so the link was live.
It's like a comedy film.
But it is. I mean, it's so British, isn't it? And this is the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray, who's essentially Rachel Reeves' deputy, speaking in the Commons about what happened.
Mr. Speaker, these findings are very serious indeed. That market-sensitive information should have information should have been prematurely accessible to a small group of market participants is extremely concerning. That it might have been the case on more than one occasion is even more severe. We do not know at this stage the extent to which market behaviour may have been affected on this or other occasions as a result of information being available early.
Who is that guy? He sounds like he's out of his depth.
Also, I would say it was a lot less about market behaviour than national trust.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. If you can guess any links they put up, it's fantastic. Sort of in the future, I'm just going to be getting the budget the day before. I can't wait. Anyway, the point about this gentleman here, and this is a bit of afters, because he's had to resign because, as the minister was saying there, they've had an inquiry about. It's funny how when they want to do an inquiry quickly, they can do it in 24 hours.
Yeah,
you want to do the inquiry into COVID, it's going to take 8 years. Anyway, he obviously decide to do slightly scorched earth policy and revealed that he'd given Rachel Reeves all of those numbers. And this is why she's been accused of lying, because he said, look, before the budget, I told her we were 4 billion in surplus, and she went around saying we were 30 billion overdrawn.
It has also been reported that prior to that Treasury Select Committee meeting where the former OBR chief actually revealed that information, it's alleged that Rachel Reeves and the Prime Minister actually had full faith in the OBR chief. And then he went and did this scorched earth policy. And now he's gone because all of a sudden they don't trust him anymore.
What do you think about this, Mary? I know you've been watching sort of from a distance slightly.
Yeah, I have. Well, I would, if I were in Rachel Reeves' position, and I'm not allying myself with Rachel Reeves in any way, but I don't think I'd trust somebody who did that.
I don't trust her.
No, I don't trust her either. To be honest, there's very few people in politics that I trust, and I think that's really sad.
A couple of weeks ago.
Her numbers have gone through the floor today. There's some polling on it. Kemi Badenoch accused Reeves of making Richard Hughes the scapegoat. Let's listen.
Yes, it is true. Something wrong happened with that note going out half an hour before the budget. But the fact is, the person who had leaked the budget 3 months before repeatedly was Rachel Reeves herself. If she thinks that leaks are a resignation matter, she should be the first person to resign. She thought that the OBR was going to do everything that she wanted. And now she's realizing that it's independent. Suddenly, the head of the OBR has to go. He is being used as a human shield to get Rachel Reeves off the hook because she is in the middle of a political crisis of her own making. She's having the best week of her career. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I think Kemi's really come out of her shell, especially since the budget response last week. And what she's saying about Rachel Reeves and Richard Hughes is absolutely right. When Rachel Reeves did that press conference a couple of weeks ago and was talking about how bad the public finances were, she knew that there was a £4 billion surplus when it came to the Exchequer. She knew that information, but she came out on television and basically misled the public in order to justify tax rises, which we now know were not necessary.
Yeah, well, I say yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Because they've come out with all kinds of excuses in the last 24 hours. There was an amazing moment at the weekend where Koonsberg, the BBC presenter, Laura Koonsberg, had Reeves and Badenoch on, and they had to... You could just see, this is from the Mail, they sit them opposite each other, and Badenoch is staring at Reeves, and Reeves will not meet her gaze at all. And then the other famous photo is when in the Commons, Rachel Reeves is given this mobile phone by a colleague which contains the message, "Oh dear, your budget's been leaked and you haven't delivered it yet." It is chaotic, but are we too harsh on them, do you think, Mary?
No, I think politicians of all parties are doing a rotten job, and I think everybody needs to. I think they need to do better, and I think they need to do better by really thinking about the fact that they're public servants. They're there to serve, and they need to listen more. They need to get straight with people. In a sense, also, if a budget's been leaked ahead of time, in theory, if you're the Chancellor, you really shouldn't worry. It's like, fine, it's out there, but
Yeah, you spoke, but it's like, I did a BBC quiz once, right? And I thought, why is no one listening to my questions? And I realised that they'd all been handed a sheet of questions before the evening started. So I thought, what am I doing up here? And Rachel Reeves had the same thing. What's she doing up there? We were already reporting what was in the budget before she said it. It was going out on the BBC. Just before we move on from this, the Mail sums up the issue really here, okay? Under the headline, Tories accuse Chancellor of using the OBR chief who exposed truth about her financial black hole as a human shield after he's forced out over leaked ground. And in a very short paragraph, that kind of sums up the difficulty for Miss Reeves. Albie in the Sun, similar territory here. So Starmer came out yesterday and essentially said he won't commit to a benefit cut. Let's have a look.
You're not given the support you need to overcome your mental health issues, or you're simply written off because you're neurodivergent or disabled, then it can trap you in a cycle of worklessness and dependency for decades. That costs the country money, is bad for our productivity, and most importantly of all, is a massive waste of potential. And any Labour Party worth the name cannot ignore that.
Yeah, explain the sort of context there. Why has he gone off on that tack?
So this was a speech that Keir Starmer did yesterday, and it was basically defending Rachel Reeves' budget last week, which obviously the budget didn't go down very well for the reasons that we have just explained. But essentially, what The Sun is reporting on here is the fact that the Prime Minister will not commit to cutting welfare, when actually that is something that he has pledged to do in the past. And this, of course, comes after, earlier on in the year, the Prime Minister tried to cut welfare spending by £5 billion, but this was torpedoed by Labour backbenchers. We also know that the annual welfare bill by the end of this Parliament will rise from £315 billion this year to over £400 billion by the end of this Parliament. And we know that this is unsustainable. The government knows this is unsustainable. They pledged to reduce the welfare bill, but actually they won't commit to it in their latest defence of the budget.
Mary, what do you think? Should they be cutting welfare?
Well, it's a really difficult thing. I mean, on balance, I would say no, because I'm really not sure where those people who need the welfare are going to turn if they do. But
we seem to be in the situation where we've created this area of welfare that's drawing people towards it, and
Well, is it, or is it just that it's more accessible for them?
I don't know. It's just the number of young people who've decided they can't work is at a level that
thousands of people signing on each week for relatively mild mental health disorders. Surely that's not sustainable.
Well, I know you take a different view.
Well, I do, because I don't think that it's for you or me or any of us to talk about what a mild mental health disorder is unless you know. And I think one of the problems is there's a lot of people who have various mental health disorders, moderate to severe ones, aren't getting work. So they're stuck. They're trapped in a cycle of dependency. And what would be very good would be to encourage more employers to take those people for the sorts of jobs that they can do. And I can see in my own town where I live, there are various shops that are doing that, certainly in terms of commerce. And I think it's a really good thing. But,
yeah, but I mean, should you, if you can't find work, have the option of being on welfare effectively for life?
Well, it's the same argument you might ask about, unemployment benefit. I mean, it's as I would say it, it's people are on unemployment benefit for all sorts of different reasons. And if people can't work, really can't work, then I think they need to be supported. Yes, there are probably questions about how those judgments are made.
Well, you could just, it would be brutal, but you could just say you will not get welfare for mental illness. It has to be a physical incapacity.
Oh, no, I totally disagree with that.
Because you can't be sure if the person is genuinely unwell.
Well, you certainly
I think
can.
you can at the
You
top
can
end
if
when
you're a
people have got
clinician.
quite
I mean, I had a
severe-
sister who was schizophrenic.
I
She
know.
was, no, but she
Exactly,
couldn't
yeah.
work at all.
Yeah, okay.
And that's a mental illness. So you can't have a cover-all thing saying no mental illnesses. You know, you have to work with clinicians and psychiatrists and things to build a policy that's sustainable.
But clearly, the track we're on is not sustainable. That's the point, is we can't pay this money. We're running up this massive debt. And so someone's got to do something. So I don't know what. Maybe growth is the answer. We grow, we work harder, we pay more tax, and then we can afford this
And we
benefits
make it
bill.
easier for people with various mental health problems to work, just as we have, you know, we now have wheelchair accessibility. We make it easier for people who are physically disabled
And that's
to
what
work.
Starmer was saying, in a
Yeah.
way. Okay.